Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of rare coins, specifically focusing on one of the most iconic figures in American history, Abraham Lincoln. We're going to talk about the top 8 most valuable Abraham Lincoln pennies that are worth a lot of money, some even in the millions. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a casual collector, you won't want to miss this list. We're diving deep into the 1977 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a small coin with a surprisingly rich story, and in some cases, a surprising amount of value. That's right, some 1977 pennies are worth far more than just a cent. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in your own collection and how much these coins can be worth in today's market. Let's start with the basics. The 1977 Lincoln penny was struck by the United States Mint during a time of both economic transition and national reflection. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or front, of the coin has remained largely unchanged since it was first introduced in 1909, marking the centennial of Lincoln's birth. By 1977, this design was already a beloved classic, instantly recognizable and widely circulated across the country. Now, as for the composition of the coin, this is where things get interesting. The 1977 Lincoln penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition was standard for pennies minted before 1982. Starting in that year, the mint transitioned to a predominantly zinc composition with only a thin copper coating. Why does this matter? Because copper has intrinsic value, and as metal prices rise, those pre-1982 pennies, including the 1977 issue, become more desirable to collectors and metal investors alike. Let's talk mintage. In 1977, the U.S. Mint produced pennies at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 4.4 billion pennies that year. The Denver Mint added another 4.2 billion coins with the D-Mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint struck a much smaller number, primarily proof coins for collectors, about 3.25 million with the S-Mint mark. Now here's where things start getting exciting. While billions of these coins were made, not all of them were created equal. Some rare varieties and error coins from 1977 can be worth much more than face value. For example, some 1977 Lincoln pennies have double die errors. These occur when the coin is struck more than once, slightly off from the first strike, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. The most valuable double die errors are typically seen in the inscriptions, especially in the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the date itself. If you spot doubling in these areas under magnification, you could have a coin worth hundreds of dollars or more. There are also off-center strikes, where the coin's design is misaligned due to improper feeding into the press. These can range from slightly off to dramatically off-center, and their value depends on the percentage of the design that's missing. A 1977 penny with a 50% off-center strike that still shows the full date and Lincoln's profile clearly could fetch a nice premium from collectors. Other valuable errors include clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing, or coins struck on the wrong metal planchet. Although rare, these minting errors can command serious money if authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Speaking of grading, condition is everything in coin collecting. A circulated 1977 penny in average condition is still worth just about a cent, maybe 2 or 3 cents for its copper content. But when you find an uncirculated or mint state coin, especially one graded MS-65 or higher, the value can rise dramatically. A 1977 Lincoln penny in pristine condition, with sharp detail and no wear, can be worth $10, $20, or even more depending on demand. Let's look at recent market data. As of this year, a 1977 penny graded MS-67 by PCGS sold at auction for over $1,000. Yes, that's $1,000 for a 1-cent coin. What made that coin so valuable? It was the exceptional condition, flawless surfaces, rich red color, and nearly perfect strike. Coins like that are extremely rare, especially from a year with such high mintage numbers. Now, let's touch on the proof coins. The 1977 S-Proof penny was made exclusively for collectors and sold in proof sets. These coins were struck with specially polished dies on high-quality blanks, resulting in mirror-like surfaces and crisp details. If you have one in a sealed proof set, it might be worth a few dollars, especially in perfect condition. But again, it's those error coins and high-grade uncirculated examples that truly stand out in terms of value. So how do you find one of these valuable 1977 pennies? Start by checking your spare change. Look closely at any 1977 pennies you find. If it has the D mint mark, it came from Denver. If it has no mint mark, that means it's from Philadelphia. And if it has an S, it's a proof coin from San Francisco. Grab a magnifying glass or loupe and examine the coin for signs of doubling or unusual features. Even small errors can be worth money. And remember, if you think you've found something special, consider sending it to a professional grading service. The cost of grading is usually around $20 to $30, but it can pay off big time if your coin is authenticated as a rare variety or high-grade specimen. So to wrap it up, the 1977 Lincoln penny may not seem like much at first glance, but hidden among the billions are some coins that are true treasures. From rare errors to pristine mint state examples, these humble 1-cent coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars in today's market. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just curious about what's in your piggy bank, keep an eye out for the 1977 penny. You might just strike copper gold. We uncover the hidden stories behind everyday coins, and today we are diving deep into one of the most iconic and surprisingly valuable coins you might already have in your pocket, the 1984 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, at first glance, it may look like just another coin you toss into a jar or drop into a vending machine, but there is much more to this little piece of copper than meets the eye, so grab a seat and stick around, because you might just learn that your spare change could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's go back to the basics. The Lincoln cent has been a cornerstone of American currency since it was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first American coin to feature a real person, and it's been in circulation ever since, with only a few design changes along the way. Now, the 1984 penny comes from an era when pennies were still primarily made of copper, unlike modern pennies, which are mostly zinc. With a thin copper coating, the 1984 cent has a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and weighs about 3.11 grams. In terms of mintage, the United States Mint produced over 8 billion of these pennies in 1984 between the Philadelphia and Denver mints, which means it's certainly not a rare coin in terms of sheer numbers. However, the real value comes down to one very specific and famous error variety, and this is where things get exciting, because not all 1984 Lincoln pennies are created equal. There is a particular 1984 penny that features what collectors call a doubled ear. This error is officially known as the 1984 double die obverse, and it happens when the coin is struck by a die that has been improperly manufactured, causing a noticeable doubling effect on certain features of the coin. In this case, it is Lincoln's ear, and when you look closely at one of these error coins, you will actually see what appears to be a second earlobe right beneath the first one, almost like a shadow. But this is no ordinary shadow, it's a minting error, and one that collectors absolutely love to find. So why is this doubled ear penny worth so much? Well, it's because of its uniqueness and demand. While millions of regular 1984 pennies are only worth face value, or maybe a couple of cents for their copper content, this particular error coin can be worth a small fortune depending on its condition. In average circulated condition, the 1984 double die penny can fetch anywhere from $50 to $150, but if you have one in uncirculated mint state condition, we're talking MS65 or higher, the value jumps significantly, and some examples have sold for over $1,000 at auction. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know if I have one of these valuable coins? The first step is to examine your 1984 pennies closely, and you do not need expensive equipment to get started. A basic magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe will do just fine. Focus on Lincoln's ear and look for the telltale sign of doubling. If you see what looks like a second earlobe below the main one, you might just have a winner. It is also a good idea to compare your coin with high-resolution images available from trusted numismatic sources online, or consult a professional coin grader if you think you found the real deal. Another factor that affects value is the coin's overall condition or grade, and as with most collectibles, the better the condition, the higher the price. Coins with no scratches, no wear, and bright original luster are always more valuable. So if you do find a 1984 penny with a doubled ear, and it's in great shape, you might consider having it professionally graded by companies like PCGS or NGC. This step does cost money, but it can increase your coin's credibility and market value, especially if you plan to sell it. Now, let's talk about market trends. As of this year, the coin collecting market remains strong, and coins with historical significance or minting errors continue to attract buyers. Both amateur and experienced collectors are always on the lookout for unique finds, and the 1984 double die penny is one of those coins that holds steady appeal. It's not just rare, It's also well documented, which gives it authenticity and lasting collector interest. Even outside the double die variety, regular 1984 pennies can still hold minor value if they are in pristine condition or have unique toning errors, off-center strikes, or unusual die cracks. And if you come across a 1984 proof penny which was minted in San Francisco with a shiny mirror-like finish, that's also worth taking a closer look at. Though those were never intended for circulation, they can still be found occasionally in private collections or coin lots sold online. So what's the bottom line? Should you start digging through your change jar or checking under your couch cushions? Maybe you should, because the humble Lincoln penny has a history that stretches over a century, and the 1984 version is a perfect example of how even a simple 1-cent coin can tell a story, reflect minting history, and possibly carry significant value today. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just getting into the hobby, keeping an eye out for small details can really pay off, and finding a 1984 double-ear penny could be your ticket to joining the ranks of lucky coin hunters who struck gold with copper. We're diving deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting, and specifically we're going to talk about one of the most common yet often overlooked coins in circulation, the 1985 D Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, before you rush to check your piggy bank or coin jar, stay with me as we explore the history, the design, the value, and how some of these pennies are worth way more than just 1 cent. You might be surprised to learn that what looks like just an ordinary penny could actually be worth a lot of money. Let's begin with a bit of background. The Lincoln cent has been a staple of United States currency since 1909, when it was first introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. The original design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner and featured Lincoln's portrait on the obverse or head side of the coin. This was the first time a real historical figure appeared on a circulating American coin, which was a pretty big deal at the time. Fast forward to the year 1985. The Denver Mint struck over 5 billion of these Lincoln cents, which bear the small letter D under the date to signify their place of origin. Now, you might be thinking, with that many coins produced, how could any of them possibly be rare or valuable? Well, the answer lies in the details. While most 1985 D pennies are very common and only worth face value, some have unique characteristics that make them highly collectible. Let's talk about the basic design first. The obverse of the coin features a right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Above his head are the words "In God We Trust." To the left is the word liberty, and to the right is the year 1985, followed by the D mint mark. On the reverse of the coin, we see the Lincoln Memorial, which was first introduced on the penny in 1959, replacing the earlier wheat ears design. Above the building are the words United States of America, and just below that E pluribus unum. At the bottom is the denomination 1 cent. Now, when we talk about value, we have to make some distinctions. A regular circulated 1985 D penny with no errors or unique features is typically worth 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, you might only get between 10 cents and 50 cents, depending on the coin's condition. But here's where it gets interesting. There are error coins and high-grade coins that can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's start with the error coins. Some of the most sought-after 1985 D pennies are those that were struck with off-center errors, double dies, or struck on the wrong planchet. For example, an off-center strike is when the coin is not properly aligned in the minting press, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. These errors can be very noticeable, and the more dramatic the error, the more valuable the coin can be. Another popular error is the double die. This happens when the die that strikes the coin has a duplication in the design, causing parts of the image or lettering to appear doubled. While there is no widely known double die for the 1985 D penny that rivals the fame of the 1955 double die, if a clear double die example were found, it could be extremely valuable. Some 1985 D pennies have also been discovered struck on copper planchets rather than the intended zinc-coated ones. After 1982, the United States Mint transitioned from copper to copper-plated zinc pennies due to rising metal costs. However, mistakes sometimes happen, and leftover copper planchets from previous years can accidentally get used. These copper 1985 D pennies are rare, and if authenticated by a grading service like PCGS or NGC, they can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. Grading also plays a huge role in value. A 1985 D penny graded MS68 or higher, meaning it's in near-perfect condition with sharp details and no visible wear, can be quite valuable. These top-grade coins are hard to find, especially since most pennies are used and show signs of wear pretty quickly. As of now, high-grade examples certified by professional grading companies can sell for over $500, and in some cases even more depending on demand. Collectors also look for coins with strong luster, full red color, and no contact marks. These attributes can significantly boost a coin's value even if it doesn't have any mint errors. A coin with full red coloration, meaning it still has the original mint color without darkening or toning, is particularly desirable among Lincoln cent collectors. So how do you find out if your 1985 D penny is valuable? First, take a close look at it. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and examine the date, the mint mark, and the overall condition. Look for any signs of doubling, misalignment, or unusual coloring. Weighing the coin can also be helpful. A standard 1985 D zinc penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If your coin weighs around 3.1 grams, it might be struck on a copper planchet, which is a big deal. If you think you have a rare or valuable penny, consider sending it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin, assign it a grade, and encapsulate it in a tamper-evident holder, which can significantly increase its value when it comes time to sell. Now let's talk about the market. As of today, the average 1985 D penny in circulated condition remains worth 1 cent. However, high-grade and error varieties are actively traded among collectors and dealers. Online auction sites like eBay show that authenticated high-grade 1985 D pennies regularly sell for between $50 and $500. Some rare examples with dramatic errors can go for well over $1,000 depending on condition and buyer interest. Coin shows and dealer networks are also great places to learn more and possibly sell valuable coins. Keep in mind that rarity, condition, and collector demand are the 3 major factors that determine a coin's value. Just because a coin is old doesn't necessarily mean it's valuable, but if it's rare and in excellent condition, it might be worth a lot more than you think. In conclusion, the 1985 D Lincoln penny is more than just small change. It's a piece of American history, a symbol of one of our greatest presidents, and potentially a hidden treasure in your pocket or coin jar. While most are common and worth only face value, there are rare and exceptional examples that can fetch big money on the collector market. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or a curious beginner, it's always worth taking a closer look at your coins. You never know what you might find. Have you ever taken a close look at the pennies in your pocket? What if I told you that a simple 1987 1-cent coin might be worth a lot more than just 1 cent? Yes, you heard that right. Some 1987 Lincoln Memorial pennies have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars depending on their condition, rarity, and mint errors. In this video, we will take a deep dive into the 1987 1-cent penny, its history, its design, what makes it valuable, and how much it could be worth in today's coin collecting market. First, let us talk about the background of the Lincoln penny itself. The Lincoln 1-cent coin was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln penny became the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait. The obverse, or front side, features a profile of President Lincoln, while the reverse originally displayed 2 wheat ears until 1958. In 1959, to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and the 50th anniversary of the coin, the U.S. Mint changed the reverse design to the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo. That reverse was used until 2008 when the series was changed again. Now let us fast forward to 1987. By this time, the Lincoln Memorial reverse design had been in use for nearly 30 years. The 1987 penny was minted in 3 major locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins bear no mint mark. Denver coins have a small D under the year, and San Francisco proof coins carry an S mint mark. In terms of production, more than 4.6 billion 1987 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The Denver Mint produced more than 4.4 billion. The San Francisco Mint produced just over 3 million proof coins. That means most 1987 pennies are very common and still circulate widely today. So why are some of them worth much more than a penny? Let's break it down. The value of a 1987 penny depends on 3 main factors: its condition, any mint errors, and its finish. First, condition matters a lot in the world of coin collecting. A worn penny that has been in circulation for decades is probably only worth face value. But an uncirculated penny, one that has never been used in everyday transactions, can be worth more, especially if it is in high mint state condition, which is a grading scale from 60 to 70. The higher the grade, the better the condition, and the higher the potential value. A mint state 1987 penny graded MS67 or higher can sell for over $100. For example, in past auctions, perfectly preserved 1987 Denver pennies in MS68 red condition have fetched up to $250 or more. The red designation is important because copper coins darken over time. Red coins are considered to be in their original brilliant condition and are much more desirable to collectors. Next, we have mint errors. Error coins are some of the most valuable and sought-after pieces in coin collecting. Errors can include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and coins struck on the wrong metal. Some 1987 pennies were accidentally struck on copper planchets left over from earlier years. That is significant because in 1982 the U.S. Mint transitioned from copper coins to zinc coins with a thin copper coating. If a 1987 penny was mistakenly struck on a solid copper planchet, it could be extremely rare. To identify this, you would need to weigh the coin. A normal 1987 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. A copper penny would weigh about 3.1 grams. So if you find a heavier than normal 1987 penny, it might be worth testing or having it professionally graded and verified. Another major error that brings high value is the double die. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between strikes, causing a doubling effect on the letters or numbers. Though no major double dies are widely reported for the 1987 penny, minor doubling and die cracks can still occur and may bring premiums from collectors who specialize in errors. Now let us talk about the San Francisco proof coins. Proof coins are specially made for collectors. They have a shiny mirror-like finish and sharp details. Proof pennies from 1987 with the S Mint mark can also be valuable, especially if they are graded PR70, which is the highest possible grade. While many proof coins sell for just a few dollars, perfect examples with no blemishes or haze can bring in prices upwards of $50 or more. So what should you look for in your pocket change or coin jar? Start by checking the date and mint mark. Look for pennies dated 1987 from Denver or Philadelphia with no signs of wear. Next, check the color. If it is still a bright red tone, it might be uncirculated. If you have a scale, weigh the coin. Anything over 3 grams could be a rare copper strike. And finally, examine the coin closely for any signs of doubling or strange features if you believe you have a rare or valuable 1987 penny. The best thing to do is have it professionally graded by a service like PCGS or NGC. They can certify its authenticity and assign it a grade that will help determine its market value. Collectors are always looking for high-grade coins and unusual errors, and auction prices can vary depending on demand. To sum up, while most 1987 Lincoln pennies are worth only a cent, certain high-grade uncirculated coins, proof coins, and rare error varieties can be worth a lot more. Some can fetch over $100, and in rare cases, even higher. The next time you check your change, do not overlook the humble penny, especially one from 1987. It just might be a tiny treasure hiding in plain sight. We are diving deep into a small but fascinating piece of American coinage history. We're talking about the 1996 D. Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it might seem like just another coin in your pocket or change jar. But did you know that this little copper-colored penny could actually be worth way more than just 1 cent? That's right. Some versions of this coin have sold for dozens or even hundreds of dollars depending on their condition and rarity. So stay tuned as we explore the story behind the 1996 D penny and what could make it so valuable today. Let's start with a bit of background. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head cent and marked the first time a U.S. president was featured on a regular issue coin. The Lincoln design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, and it has remained in circulation for more than a century with only a few design updates along the way. Fast forward to 1996. This was a year like many others in terms of coin production. Millions of pennies were minted in both Philadelphia and Denver. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark under the year, produced over 6 billion Lincoln pennies in 1996. So why would a coin that was produced in such high numbers be worth anything more than face value? That's where things get interesting. Not all coins are created equal. Even though billions of 1996 D pennies were struck, A small percentage of them contain special features or errors that make them incredibly desirable to collectors. These differences can include things like double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and other minting mistakes that occurred during the production process. Sometimes it's a simple matter of a coin being in perfect uncirculated condition. So let's break down the most valuable versions of the 1996 D penny and what you should look out for. One of the most popular error types in Lincoln cents is the double die. Although no widely recognized double die has been confirmed for the 1996 D penny, collectors continue to search for unusual features like doubling on the date or letters. If you ever come across a 1996 D penny with strange or blurry-looking text, it might be worth taking a closer look under a magnifying glass or microscope. Even a minor doubling effect can increase the coin's value substantially. Another factor is the coin's condition. In the coin collecting world, condition is everything. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 using a system called the Sheldon scale. Coins that have never been in circulation and show nowhere can receive grades like MS65, MS67, or even MS68. And MS stands for mint state. The higher the number, the more pristine the coin is. Most 1996 D pennies you'll find in circulation will be worn and scratched. But if you happen to find one in a roll of uncirculated coins or a coin set, you could be holding on to a miniature treasure. Some MS67 graded 1996 D pennies have sold for over $100 at auction. That's quite a jump from just 1 cent beyond condition and error types. Another thing to consider is the metal composition. Since 1982, most pennies have been made of a zinc core coated in copper. This makes them cheaper to produce but also more prone to damage over time. If you happen to find a 1996 D penny that feels heavier than usual or looks different in color, it could be an off-metal error, meaning the coin was struck on the wrong type of blank. These types of errors are extremely rare but can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's talk about the current market. As of this year, common 1996 D pennies in circulated condition are still worth only face value. But high-grade specimens in mint state condition can range in value from $5 to over $100 depending on the grade. Rare error coins or unique varieties can command even higher prices, especially when they're certified by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These services inspect coins, assign a grade, and encapsulate them in a tamper-proof holder, which can give buyers more confidence and boost the resale value. You might be asking yourself how to tell if your 1996 D penny is valuable. The first step is to inspect it closely. Look for any signs of doubling, unusual shapes, or misalignment. Next, consider the condition. Does the coin have sharp details? Is the surface shiny or dull? The fewer scratches and dings, the better. If you think your coin might be something special, it's a good idea to get it appraised by a coin dealer or submit it to a grading service. Even if your penny turns out to be common, it's still a great way to learn more about coin collecting and the hidden value in everyday change. Let's wrap this up. While the majority of 1996 D Lincoln pennies are not rare or extremely valuable, there are exceptions that make this coin worth checking out. From mint errors to pristine conditions, there's always a chance you could find a gem hiding in plain sight. So next time you're sorting through your spare change, don't overlook those pennies. They just might be worth more than you think. We're diving into the world of modern coin collecting with a focus on one of the most common yet sometimes surprisingly valuable coins in circulation. We're talking about the 2001 Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, this may seem like just another copper-colored coin that has passed through millions of hands, tossed in change jars or spent at the store without a second thought. But in the world of numismatics, even the most ordinary coins can sometimes be worth far more than their face value. So let's talk about why some 2001 pennies are actually worth real money, and how you might find one in your own pocket change. Let's begin with a little background on the Lincoln cent itself. The Lincoln penny has been in circulation for over a century, originally introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first American coin to feature a real person, breaking away from the classical Liberty designs of the past. The obverse, or front of the coin, has shown Lincoln's bust since its inception, and although the reverse design has changed over the decades, Lincoln's face has remained a constant symbol of American currency. Now fast forward to the year 2001. By this time, the Lincoln cent had been using the memorial reverse design since 1959. This design featured the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and if you look closely at a 2001 penny, you can actually see a tiny image of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. This reverse was created by Frank Gasparo and remained in use until 2008. The obverse of the coin still featured Victor David Brenner's portrait of Lincoln, the same one used since 1909. The 2001 penny was struck in massive quantities. We're talking billions of coins, making it seem like a coin that should have little to no collector value. But as you're about to see, that's not always the case. In 2001, the Philadelphia and Denver mints both produced Lincoln pennies. The Philadelphia mint struck over 5 billion coins, while the Denver mint produced nearly the same number. With mintages this high, most 2001 pennies are worth only face value if they're in circulated condition. But here's where things get interesting. Condition, rarity, and mint errors are what can take a coin from 1 cent to hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's take a closer look at what makes some 2001 pennies worth big money. First, let's talk about condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. A coin graded MS 60 or higher means mint state, meaning it was never in circulation and shows no signs of wear. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. While most 2001 pennies won't be worth grading, there are exceptions. A 2001 penny graded MS 68 red, for example, has sold for over $600 at auction. That's right, over $600 for a 1-cent coin, simply because it was in exceptional condition with perfect surfaces and luster. Now let's talk about errors. This is where collectors really start paying attention. Some of the most valuable 2001 pennies are those with minting errors. One of the most sought-after types of error is the doubled die. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is engraved with a doubled image, resulting in noticeable doubling of letters or numbers. If you come across a 2001 penny where the word Liberty or the date appears doubled, you might be looking at a valuable variety. Another error to watch for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted to one side. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin. A 2001 penny with a 50% off-center strike and full date visible could sell for well over $100 or more depending on demand and condition. There's also the clipped planchet error, where part of the coin's edge is missing due to a mistake during the blank cutting process. A noticeable curved clip on a 2001 penny can make it a desirable piece for error collectors and again add significant value over its face amount. Then we have transitional errors. While none are confirmed for 2001 pennies, collectors still inspect coins from this era for anomalies in composition. Most 2001 cents are made of a zinc core with a thin copper coating. However, mistakes in the metal composition from planchets intended for foreign coins or older stock sometimes end up in U.S. coins. These rare pieces can bring hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's not forget about die breaks, sometimes referred to as cud errors. These occur when a piece of the die breaks off and leaves a raised blob on the coin's surface. A significant die break on a 2001 penny, especially on Lincoln's face or along the rim, can be collectible and fetch a good price among error enthusiasts. So what's the current market like in 2025 for 2001 pennies? Most circulated coins are still only worth face value. If your 2001 penny is scratched, worn, or has corrosion, it's likely only worth a penny. But uncirculated examples with full red luster can sell for anywhere from $1 to $5 in lower mint state grades. Coins graded MS 67 or higher with a red designation are where the big money starts to appear. As of now, a top-graded MS 68 red 2001 Lincoln cent can sell between $400 to $700, depending on the grading service, the market demand, and recent auction history. Error coins vary widely. A minor off-center strike might fetch $20 to $50. A dramatic off-center coin or double die could bring in $100 to $300 or more. The key is rarity, visual appeal, and condition. The more dramatic the error and the better preserved the coin, the higher the price collectors are willing to pay. So how can you find one of these valuable coins? It starts with checking your change. Every time you get a penny, look at the date. If it's a 2001, check the mint mark. Look for signs of doubling, off-center design, unusual shapes on the edge, or anything that seems out of place. If you find a nice-looking coin with red luster, it might be worth setting aside. You can also buy rolls of pennies from banks or online and search through them at home. Some people make hundreds of dollars a year by searching penny rolls and selling collectible varieties online. Before we wrap up, here's one important piece of advice. If you think you've found a valuable 2001 penny, consider sending it to a professional grading service for authentication. Grading not only helps prove the coin's authenticity and condition, but it also helps when selling the coin to collectors or at auction. So there you have it. A tiny 1-cent coin from 2001 that might be hiding in your change jar or piggy bank could actually be worth a small fortune. Whether you're a beginner coin collector or just curious about what your old pennies are worth, keep an eye out for those rare errors and high-grade examples. The Lincoln cent may be common, but hidden treasures do exist if you know where to look. Deep dive video, we're going to explore a coin that you might have in your change jar right now. It's the 2002 Lincoln 1-cent penny. That's right. A coin that most people overlook could actually be worth more than just a single cent. In fact, some rare versions of the 2002 Lincoln penny are currently selling for big money on the collector's market. So stick with me as we go over everything you need to know about the 2002 1-cent penny, its origin, the history behind it, what to look for, and how much it's really worth today. First, let's start with a bit of background. The 2002 Lincoln penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which began in 1959 and ended in 2008. It features the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or front side, of the coin. This portrait was originally created by sculptor Victor David Brenner and has remained a fixture on the U.S. penny for over a century. The reverse side of the 2002 penny features the Lincoln Memorial, a design by Frank Gasparo that replaced the earlier wheat ears design used from 1909 to 1958. Now you might be asking, what makes the 2002 penny special? After all, billions of pennies are minted every year. The 2002 Lincoln penny was produced in large numbers at two major U.S. mints, Philadelphia and Denver. Coins from Philadelphia bear no mint mark, while those from Denver have a small D below the date. There were also proof coins made at the San Francisco Mint, which have an S mint mark and are typically found only in collector sets. In total, over 7 billion Lincoln cents were minted in 2002. But here's the thing, not all of them are created equal. While most 2002 pennies are still worth face value or just a few cents above that in circulated condition, certain rare varieties and high-grade examples can fetch serious money. One key factor that affects the value is condition. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC and receiving a grade of MS67 or higher can be worth much more than average. MS stands for mint state and refers to coins that have never been used in circulation. They show no wear and retain their original luster. Another important thing to look for is errors. That's right, minting mistakes can make an otherwise ordinary penny extremely valuable. For the 2002 Lincoln penny, collectors have found a number of striking errors and varieties that are in high demand. Some examples include double die obverse or reverse coins where the design appears to be doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. Other errors include off-center strikes, clipped planchets where part of the coin is missing, and coins struck on the wrong metal planchets. For example, a penny struck on a dime blank point. One of the most valuable 2002 penny errors ever sold was a coin with strong doubling on the date and the word Liberty. This double die variety was certified by a professional grading service and sold at auction for hundreds of dollars. Some error coins in pristine condition have gone for over $1,000, especially those with dramatic off-center strikes or multiple striking issues. So if you have a 2002 penny with unusual features, it's definitely worth a closer look. Let's talk a bit about grading and how it affects value. A regular 2002 penny in circulated condition might be worth only a penny or two. But coins graded MS65 can be worth $1 to $10 depending on demand. Coins graded MS67 can bring $30 to $50 or more. Rare errors in high grades can range from $100 to over $1,000 depending on rarity and condition. And proof coins, especially those with cameo or deep cameo contrast, can sell for $10 to $20 or more if preserved properly. If you're wondering how to tell if your coin is valuable, here's what to do. First, examine the coin carefully under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass or a coin loupe to check for any doubling, off-center designs, or unusual shapes. Look at the date, the mint mark, and the details on Lincoln's face and the Lincoln Memorial. If you notice anything strange or if your coin looks perfect with no scratches or wear, it might be worth sending to a professional grader. You can also compare your coin to images on trusted coin collector websites or price guides. Sites like PCGS and NGC have coin price history and auction results for every date and mint. You can also browse online marketplaces like eBay to see what similar coins are selling for in real time. Just be sure to check that those coins are actually selling, not just listed, so you get a true sense of market value. So what's the takeaway here? While most 2002 Lincoln pennies are common and worth only face value, there are definitely exceptions. High-grade coins and rare errors can be worth big money, sometimes hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just getting started, checking your change and coin jars for these hidden gems can be a fun and potentially profitable hobby. Before we wrap up, here's a quick recap. The 2002 Lincoln penny features Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. It was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Regular circulated coins are usually worth 1 cent, but coins in mint condition or with rare errors can be worth much more. Look for strong doubling, off-center strikes, and high grades to spot the valuable ones. We are diving deep into the world of coins and focusing on one that many people overlook but collectors are always watching for. I'm talking about the 2019 Lincoln 1-cent penny. You've probably seen it in your spare change, but did you know that some of these coins can be worth a lot more than just 1 cent? Let's begin with a little background. The Lincoln penny has been a staple of American currency since 1909. It was first introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. He was the first historical figure to appear on a regular-issue United States coin. The original design featured the bust of Lincoln on the obverse or front and 2 wheat stalks on the reverse. Over the years, the reverse design changed several times. In 1959, to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday and the 50th anniversary of the Lincoln cent, the reverse was updated to feature the Lincoln Memorial. That remained the design until 2008. Then, in 2009, for the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth, new reverse designs were released, each representing a different stage in his life. These included his birth and early childhood in Kentucky, his formative years in Indiana, his professional life in Illinois, and finally, his presidency in Washington, D.C. Then, in 2010, the U.S. Mint unveiled a new permanent reverse design. This design, which continued through 2019 and beyond, features a shield with a scroll inscribed with the words 1 cent. The shield is meant to represent Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single and united country during the Civil War. Now let's talk specifically about the 2019 Lincoln penny. This coin features the familiar bust of Lincoln on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials VDB can be seen just below Lincoln's shoulder. On the reverse, the Union Shield design created by artist Lyndall Bass remains in place. This shield features 13 vertical stripes that represent the original colonies and a horizontal bar that represents the federal government. It's a symbol of unity, strength, and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln. But what makes the 2019 penny stand out is not just its design. It's the mint errors and variations that have collectors hunting for these coins today. First, it's important to know that the 2019 penny was minted in 3 main locations. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark. The Denver Mint used a D mint mark. And for collectors, the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins with an S mint mark. While the regular business strike pennies are still very common and generally worth only face value, certain errors and specific versions of the 2019 penny can be worth much more. One of the most well-known varieties is the 2019 W penny. That's right, W stands for West Point. In 2019, for the first time ever, the U.S. Mint released Lincoln cents bearing the W mint mark. These were not released into circulation. Instead, they were included as bonus coins in collector's sets. There were 3 types of 2019 W pennies produced: a proof version, a reverse proof version, and an uncirculated version. Each was included in different 2019 mint sets. Because these W pennies were produced in relatively low numbers and were never released into general circulation, they are highly collectible. For example, the 2019 W proof penny had a mintage of just over 600,000. Compare that to the billions of regular pennies made at Philadelphia and Denver, and you can see why the W pennies are in high demand. But it doesn't stop there. Some 2019 pennies also contain mint errors that make them even more valuable. These errors include things like double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and even transitional errors. A double die error, for instance, happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between strikes, creating a doubling effect in the lettering or design. Some 2019 pennies have been found with doubling in areas like the date or the word liberty, and these can be worth several dollars or more depending on the severity and clarity of the doubling. Off-center errors, where the design is struck off-center, can also increase a penny's value significantly. A coin that is struck 50% off-center with a full date visible could be worth anywhere from $25 to $100 or more to the right buyer. Die cracks and die chips, which happen when the die becomes damaged or worn, can create strange raised lines or blobs on the surface of the coin. These are often minor, but some collectors pay a premium for dramatic or unusual versions. So, what's the current market value of a 2019 Lincoln penny today? Well, if you're looking at the basic, uncirculated versions from Philadelphia or Denver, they're still generally worth just 1 cent. However, if they are in mint condition or certified as MS67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, they could be worth $1 or $2. The real money, though, is in the 2019 W pennies. As of early 2025, a 2019 W-proof penny in pristine condition can fetch anywhere from $10 to $30 or more. The reverse proof and uncirculated versions can also bring in similar amounts, especially if they're graded and encapsulated. Rare error coins can command even higher prices. Some error 2019 pennies have sold for over $100 on auction sites like eBay or at coin shows, depending on how dramatic the error is and how much demand there is from collectors. So, what should you do if you think you have a valuable 2019 penny? First, examine it carefully. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to look for signs of doubling, mint mark errors, or other irregularities. Check the condition of the coin. Is it shiny and uncirculated, or has it been worn down by years of use? If it looks unusual or in excellent condition, it may be worth sending to a professional grading service for evaluation. Another tip is to check your collector's sets. If you bought any mint sets in 2019, look to see if you have a W mint mark penny in there. Those are definitely worth holding on to. Finally, remember that coin collecting is not just about money. It's about history, artistry, and the thrill of the hunt. Every penny has a story, and the 2019 Lincoln cent is no different. From its Civil War symbolism to the surprise debut of the West Point mint mark, it represents a modern twist on a classic coin that continues to capture the interest of numismatists across the country. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content about valuable coins, hidden rarities, and numismatic treasures, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an update. And remember, next time you check your pocket change, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of history worth a lot more than 1 cent.